Hi, my name is Justin Gibbs. I'm the National Weather Service's Warning Decision Training Division. I'll be discussing my work today on evaluating precursor signals for higher impact QLCS tornado and straight line wind events. So what I've been working on is getting a database established and then doing analysis of it of QLCS events that produce some degree of straight line wind damage, 60 mile per hour winds or higher was severe, but also cases that produce tornadoes and more significant straight line wind events. And then I looked at characteristics first from the three ingredients method, and then also where the damage occurred in the line, if it appeared to occur at the rear of the line, at the front of the line, if it was part of a semi-discrete feature, what was the mesocyclone characteristics. And then Andy Dean at SPC gave us the archived meso-analysis data to where we could see kind of what was going on with some other parameters, about 15 of them, like 0 to 1 kilometer shear and things like that. We did that across a national domain for 400 cases, mostly events that occurred in from 2018, 2019, and 2020 that we sampled pretty randomly for 172 tornadoes and 197 80-plus mile per hour events. What we found was that nudgers appear to be very important for identifying problematic processes. Those are the nudgers from the three ingredients method, things like the break in the line, local front reflectivity nubs, and the things that are listed here and in the three ingredients method do seem to work very well at identifying the local accelerations needed to produce tornadoes and QLCS events. We got sort of an independent confirmation of that. When we combined it with other parameters, we sort of removed the nudgers by themselves and then combined them with other parameters that were in a similar vein to the three ingredients method. We got a little bit more skill that was teased out, things like taking the rotational speed and the 0 to 1 kilometer line normal shear, the rotational speed being rotational velocity divided by diameter, and then rotational velocity, when we multiplied them by the nudgers, so 30-knot rotation, you've got 6 nudgers present, that would put you into probably tornadic territory. Total rotation times nudgers plus 0 to 1 kilometer line shear, just various different ways of combining the numbers to see kind of where the signal was the strongest. And I'm still very much in the process of trying to determine what patterns may exist and which are the most skillful. I also have found 0 to 1 kilometer line normal shear when multiplied by nudgers, and several other parameters that were similar showed a positive correlation of about 0.537 to overall wind speed. So the higher the 0 to 1 kilometer shear, the more nudgers, the higher the winds tended to be, even if a tornado didn't develop. So precursor even in higher in wind damage. And I understand the challenges of surveying and what was and what wasn't a tornado, especially when you get into that 130, 140 mile per hour range in most of the country. But it doesn't correlate perfectly, but I'm looking at some other things to see if I can find some more skill to tease out. And one of the things that seems like it has worked is identifying the events by subtype, removing MCVs and super QLCS is what I've been calling them from the true linear events, things that are clearly a straight line, there's no break in the 50 dBz, there's the little local accelerations and local notches on the front, versus the more semi-organized MCVs, which produce a lot of tornadoes. And I'm looking at characteristics of the tornadoes that were produced by MCVs, and the super QLCS, which are more rare, but where you have a QLCS system and then 2 volume scans later you get a break and then a supercell forms in these extreme shear cases like we saw on Easter Sunday 2020, and looking at some signals for that as well. But from a purely QLCS and linear standpoint, when I combine them into just linear events, I was able to tease out a little more skill with some of these methods that I've worked out so far. And here are the statistics for all events. The three ingredients method plus 5 nudgers as a threshold for warning give you a CSI of about 0.376, which is not too bad. But total rotation multiplied by nudgers and then add 0 to 1 kilometer line normal shear, meaning how strong the system is spinning at the time we measured it and how many nudgers were present. And then adding the 0 to 1 kilometer line normal shear gave us a CSI of 0.642 at the threshold that we set. The same was true for other things like rotational speed and SRH. And SRH I'm not really going to use too much because of its dependencies. But it also did a little bit better in the true linear systems. You can see those statistics here. We'll be working on trying to get this written up and published and perhaps included in our training here in the coming months, but wanted to share the preliminary results that look fairly promising.